Hello everyone. ADA has reached out to me and asked if I want to try their Paludarium systems. And of course I said yes. Now, I didn't know what to actually expect because they have a bunch of different stuff and we're gonna figure it out today together, what's for what. But this one seems to be the most interesting. I have a sticker on top that says Glass Paluda 600, so that's what's inside, but I don't know which product that is, so if we can see it together. This seems pretty dangerous considering whatever it is, it's glass. I declare this open. Okay, so we are about 20 minutes in and I still have no clue what's inside the box. Ha! This is actually something we won't use today. We're gonna be using the other types, but at least we see it, and I think we can have a build with this later on, maybe, someday. What's this? This is actually the Glass Paluda 600. Purpose of this whole thing is to showcase your most precious plants. Nothing to do with aquariums. This thing actually is not designed to hold water. This is the Paluda Light 2 600. Cool. We should turn this on to see how it looks. Now we are just missing our special plants. Just imagine a few more plants, maybe a bit more special plants. There's a weight limit of 10 kilos, so not just no water, but ADA also recommends not to use any soil in this. And if you follow that recommendation, you actually have those colored shelves on the bottom and you turn the light on and the whole thing lights up. So this is like a design piece for your home as well. Now it's time to move on from the design-focused interior piece onto something a bit more functional. Now this is the DOOA Glass Paluda system. The purpose of this is to recreate tropical rainforest environments within your home. The main piece of this, the glass, this is what we call the DOOA Glass Paluda. And as you can probably see somewhere here, there are multiple sizes. This one is the 600, which refers to 600 millimeters this way. What makes this a system and not just a glass paluda is everything inside it. 10 centimeters of the depth is taken by the background. The reason for that is you can actually fill the back with water, and you have two different very important effects available in this system. One of them is what?
It shows 3.
Really? Two very important effects available. One of them is a misting system, and also there's a dripping system, so you can drip the water down on this background. There is something in this corner. It's the same stuff. This is just for packaging, I'm sure. There's nothing inside this. But it's very Japanese to pack the packaging thing. Small suction head. It's turning into a magic show, isn't it? So, don't need that. So far, I have no clue what goes where, so we're gonna have to figure out somehow the Japanese manual. There's just more and more stuff that should go somewhere. Here is the mist flow, the misting unit itself. Here is the Paluda Clean PC. This is to soften your water so it doesn't leave marks on the thing, which if you use RO water, it shouldn't be a problem anyway. And there is also a circulation fan, which goes here, I believe. A water pump. This is what they call the Wabikusa mat. This is what's gonna hold the water for the plants. And also there is this piece that goes on the top, in the back. Let's read. Oh. Okay, the thing that I just threw away It actually has a purpose. But it says high absorbent sponge, 2 pieces. It takes up the excess water, so you won't have like water spilling out from the front. And it actually doesn't go to the bottom, so it only starts to take up water when the water level is too high. It's quite clever. This is a bit more complicated than like an IKEA furniture. I'm gonna spend some time on building this. Okay, so there are 2 sponges like this in the background, and they are actually in the position where they should be, so I need to put them back in. Shit! This side is in English. Let's start over. You need to fix these in between the pins. So underneath the pump, you need to put this pump stand. It goes on with the suction cups, and then this whole thing goes in this corner to the bottom. This whole thing in the background, that's what we call the mist flow box. And this thing on the top which comes out, that's the mist flow tank. I need to put the cleaning stuff in the mist flow box. We need to soak these. Let's install the mist pump as well. If you've ever seen these types of mist generators, they tend to splash. This is to prevent that. We have a water pump, we have a mister. The purpose of this is really smart. There are some holes on the bottom, and you place this right here in the corner or the other corner, wherever you want to. We can obviously have some soil covering it. Then, as you have your soil level, if there is too much water in the bottom, it's gonna come up here as well. You can put a tin hose, like a CO2 hose size, that's a 4 by 6 millimeters. It fits into this, and you can actually take out all the excess water from the bottom. That's something we've suffered with quite a few times when building our custom terrariums. There's a lot of water inside. Hook goes in one hole and the other hole. Put it in, and then you can easily take it out when it's full of water, because now this hook holds it properly. So here goes the second one. We should install the fan as well. There is a small arrow on it showing where the airflow is going to go. Once the fan starts to push air out, it sucks air in from here, from the top to back, only on this very thin part. So that's going to be a very slow air movement, and it won't really dry out your plants. If you push in, that's much more aggressive and it dries things out. For now, we install it to aggressive, pushing air in, and then maybe we're going to switch it up later. You have a pump that should be underwater all the time, but you don't want too much water in the bottom, because then it just comes out in the front. And you don't want your misting unit to run dry either. It actually has a sensor, so it stops when water level drops too much, but then you don't have the mist, so you don't have enough humidity. The water pump, it won't stop. It will be running even if there is no water. So cleaning this should be done once a week, and refilling the mist flow tank should be done once every 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously it depends on how you actually use it. Within this closed glass box, you're gonna have perfect control over lighting, water circulation, air circulation, and humidity. So you have all you need to keep even the most sensitive plants happy. And I actually have some special plants coming for this. Not really special, not rarities, but special compared to what we usually use in terrariums. Now to the fun part, we're actually gonna build this. And when I say we, I have help with Attila. And I hate tying moss, so that's why you're here.
Okay.
First of all, you need to make these slightly wet. It's easier to put the moss on because it sticks to it once it's wet. We've prepared bogo moss, weeping moss, and Christmas moss. We have these 2 different types of moss from the forest.
Forest moss.
I want a mixture. I want it to be as natural as possible. Yeah. Please start on that while I start working on the hardscape. We're gonna tie on other plants on this as well, but on the moss. So like I have some mini orchids and stuff like that, and it's perfect to put on the moss. Hardscape aside, because first we do the soil substrate. I don't even know how to call this. Consists of two products: jungle base on the bottom, jungle soil on top of it. The jungle base is there to provide aeration for the whole system and for roots if you plant anything into the bottom. Jungle soil on top. Oh, there's stuff in it. The jungle soil, well, as the name suggests, it's a soil. It's like Amazonia in the aquarium. Same stuff for the terrarium. It's of course a nutrient-rich substrate with microorganisms inside, which is very important for terrariums actually. I've been talking about ADA all day, and these are actually DOOA products. DOOA is the sub-brand or side brand of ADA for terrarium products. I'm sorry, I'm always going to call them ADA products because that's how it is in my mind. This actually sort of fills up the bottom. Here I actually want to see the two layers just to be able to show to customers. I don't want to overcrowd this thing with hardscape. I definitely need to put in the background first because I won't be able to after the fact that I put these in. Here is my special selection of plants. A few pieces of ferns. I have a few mini orchids. I have a few small-sized bromeliads. I have no idea what this is, but it looks really funky. That's why I ordered it. I knew the name of this plant, but I forgot it. Climbing plants that will come from the bottom and hopefully go to the top. I've also ordered something that was called tropical mix. These are just small cuts of plants. Yeah, so like this guy is way too big for sure. I'm gonna have to figure out what goes on the background. Please just tie this on randomly on one of them, and I give you a bunch of other plants. Whatever is in soil should go into the soil. I got 3 types of mini orchids. Those are gonna get tied on the background. Also some kind of fern. I have no clue what this is, but goes in the background as well. My biggest problem is that even though I'm nowhere with this project, I don't have any plants in it yet, and I already have some vibes in me that I want one of these. Now, the big problem with that is I've just sold my terrarium, which I had at home, which was empty for the last 3 or 4 years, and my wife was ready to kill me if I don't get rid of it. I got rid of it and now I want another one. Where do I want this fern? Don't mind the wood pieces, they are just there to sort of show how they're gonna look. So I have the biggest piece of mini orchid. These plants might look a bit funky at the moment, but you know, once they get light and air circulation and so on, they're gonna shape themselves to a more natural look. If you see now, there you have these gaps. These will be covered later on by the moss easily, so it's gonna crawl over and close that gap. It might be a bit too crowded, but I don't care. So what we already have inside are some orchids, which of course have mostly epiphytes, so going to be perfectly fine tied on. Bromeliads are epiphytes as well. They are perfectly fine just getting tugged in to the cracks of the wood. They're one of my favorite plants. They can get crazy colors. The pattern on the leaves is, it can be tons of different variations. Also these ferns, not specifically epiphytes, but having the moss around them is almost like having substrate or soil. Another thing I like to do in terrariums like this, I've just taken this piece out of the pot as it is. I'm not removing the soil, but I'm not planting it either. What I'm gonna do is, here is a small spot, pop this in, tuck it in. It's gonna live there in its own soil. I have some of the plants that need to go into the bottom planted, and this substrate system actually supports the roots and supports long-term growth of the plants. This is not healthy. So this white thing is not perfectly normal, but it's going to grow it out hopefully. I need the moss on the bottom. Final touch, my favorite unknown plant. Live long and prosper, or whatever. This end piece doesn't look too nice. Attila should have noticed this and covered it with moss. Let's put on the doors. Wow! These flaps go up as you push it in. So this is it for the build itself. Now we're going to put this in place, and then in a couple seconds you're going to see me in about 5-6 weeks time, and I'll explain how it all went, or how it all goes, how it all will go, whatever. See you in a bit. So, it's been 4 weeks, and I don't know if I should say it's only 4 weeks because there's a lot of growth, or I should say it's already been 4 weeks because everything is still alive, which, this whole thing surprised me, which is a good thing. It's a good surprise. The whole system works really well. It's easy to see. We have the cold mist going, goes basically once an hour for 10 minutes. Then we have, right after that, we have the fan going for 10 minutes to clear out the mist. We need to refill the background itself, like the water reservoir, once a week. We clean out the big sponges, if you remember, which take up tons of water. We clear those out once a week as well. You can actually see it on the front when the water starts to collect and it's time to get rid of it. So yeah, a few minutes once a week and it works like magic. You can see we have new shoots all over the place, like this. It's an alocasia, I think. It has a huge new leaf in the middle. These small ferns have small leaves. You can clearly see the color difference between the old and new leaves. Only place where there could be more growth, or not growth, better preparation, is the moss background. Attila could have done a better job of actually covering the Wabicusa mats, the sponges, because now the edges are clear and, well, it's just gonna take some time, but that's gonna be covered with moss on its own. It's just up to your patience. So yeah, lovely thing. Another thing we do daily, which I'm not actually sure if we should do or we have to do, but we do it once a day in the morning. Grab this lovely tool and yeah, just spray some water on the plants. That's it. I don't know if it's actually needed. Like, obviously every environment is a bit different on how dry the air is and how much of the humidity can actually escape, but the system is quite closed, so most of it's going to stay inside, and you can actually have a huge effect on that with the fan on the side of how much you run it. and you run it from the outside towards the inside or the other way around. If you remember during the build I told we're gonna start running it with pushing air in and we see how it goes, and well, it seems to work really well, so we just left it as it is. Yeah, not much I can say other than if you want something that you don't really need to do any work with, except for really once a week, a few minutes, or maybe once a day or every 2 days, a bit of spraying, then this is for you. So I'm actually 90% sure that when this thing is finished here at the Green Aqua Gallery, because we are done with all the videos and we need a space for something else, I might take this one home. I love it so much. Thank you very much for joining me today on this extremely interesting journey, and see you next time. Goodbye.